Welcome to the Silhouettes of Success podcast with your host, successful entrepreneur, broker, and business mentor, Amber Weitzer. Because success comes in all shapes, sizes, and styles, the Silhouettes of Success podcast is shining the light on industrious women with a collection of curated conversations of intentional inspiration designed to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, feed your soul, and gift you with actionable insights directly from inspirational, everyday women who've shown tenacity, grit, and grace, having taken on the challenges in their lives and business and won. Remarkable, down-to-earth, and relatable, Amber and her guests will share with you uplifting and extraordinary real-life success stories, motivational ideas that just might help spark something within you. With the deepest desire to serve you, help you grow so you can begin to shine the light that will illuminate your very own silhouette of success. So, let's get to it.
Hello, and welcome to the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success. Our VIP featured guest has all the pop, sizzle, and enthusiasm a CEO and success mentor should have, and so much, much more. She has a Bachelors of Science from University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire and a Master's of Science from St. Cloud State University. She is witty and unafraid to speak her mind, which she admits can sometimes get her into trouble. However, she does it with a sense of humor, class, and leaves the people wanting more. So please help me give a warm welcome to our VIP featured guest, Tamika Taylor, CEO and lead success mentor for Evolution Collective. Hello.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
I am so good. How are you?
I am fantastic. So pumped to have you with us today.
Oh, I'm so pumped to be here. Thank you for having me.
Very
I'm so excited.
cool. Yay. So, Tamika, as you begin to share your silhouette of success story with us, I always like to say, we're just scratching the surface, I know, but that just leaves, like you say, the people wanting more so they can go look you up and find you. Yeah, so let's do this. How about you share with us to get to know you a little bit? Tell us about your background and share a little bit with the audience.
Yeah. So like you said, I have a couple of degrees, and I originally had graduated during the recession, the early 2000s recession, or mid 2000s, 2010-ish era. And I was always interested in people, so I started working in higher education, and I worked corporate, and I was so unhappy. I feel like there are so many people who work corporate and are so unhappy, but I was so deeply unhappy. And my husband's a chiropractor local in the area in DFW, and he had always owned his own business, and I helped promote his business. And while I was working corporate and was so unhappy, he was busy, but also happy. So my background is in leadership, and I study people. And I started to realize, wow, like I worked at universities because I loved lost college students. And I realized I love lost adults more. I feel like just like college students are lost, there's so many of us adults who are just wandering around lost all the time. And so while I was hopping from corporate job to corporate job, just so unhappy, he one day told me, he's like, you can't keep leaving jobs because you're unhappy. And I was like, watch me. And I always had a job and something to follow back up on. But I started to realize in all of the people that I was meeting that I wasn't unhappy because of the job. I was unhappy because of me. I was unhappy because I was going after jobs that didn't fulfill my destiny. And I was going after jobs that weren't my strong suit, that weren't what I was good at. They weren't, I was good at the job, but it wasn't my top strengths. So I was so unhappy, and the people were so unhappy, and all of this. So I started to take what I learned in my master's degree, and I started to morph it for small business owners. I realized that a lot of us are unhappy, not because of the job or other people. We're just unhappy with ourselves, but no one wants to admit that. No one wants to talk about it, right? No one wants to be like, oh yeah, no, I am the cause of my unhappiness. And so when I left corporate completely, it was my goal to start a company to allow specifically women small business owners the space to find out who they were, who they were meant to be, their top strengths, and to own that space, because owning that is your power. And once you have your power, nothing is impossible at that point.
Okay, wow. All right, rewind. Okay,
Right.
wow. It's interesting. Today must be the day that you and I connect, because that similar owning that power is something that I recently talked about as well, in discovering myself.
Yeah.
Finally discovering a morsel, but I hung on to it. But going back to what you were sharing and your journey, I would say that the teacher became the student. You're a teacher and you're studying people, and it was time to study yourself a little bit.
Yeah, it was a time to look in the mirror. Like the mirror was turned
Yeah.
around on me and was like, hey, this is practice what you preach for a moment, which is funny because that's kind of what my word for this year is aligned and louder, because I'm already loud, right? But being louder in who I am, because again, we go through cycles. We can learn something and we need to hear it again 20 times. And we'll go through cycles of like owning our power and then being like, oh, who am I? And owning our power and oh, who am I? And that realignment, it definitely something big had to happen to turn the mirror around and say, hey, practice what you preach, own your own power, and realize that it's not the jobs, it's not the people, it's not any of these things. It's you and what makes you happy and what makes you feel powerful. Because really, power owns our money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That is fantastic. And you're so busy helping everybody else. That's why.
Right. Yeah. So sometimes I get the back burner and then all of a sudden I get burnt out and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to get back to my roots of everything. And everybody is like that. Even though I study this, practice this, work with other people on it, it still happens to me where I'm like, oh, I am only human.
Exactly. Oh, you are reading my mind. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. And yeah. Okay. All right. So thinking on that and getting done what you do and taking care of everybody else and all of those things, the alarm goes off in the morning. And whether you want to share this, maybe this answer, if you will,
Yeah.
towards your business day or your personal day, or, they probably mesh.
Mm-hmm.
What does a day in the life look like? Are you more structured? Do you have a routine, or are you more of a spontaneous spirit?
So, because I study personalities, I will tell you a little bit about my personality. One of the things that I know to be true, I love the Enneagram. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it studies your emotional competency.
Yes.
And I am an Enneagram 7, which is the enthusiast. So, the enthusiast for life. And so I have structure, but I also have free time, because if I have too much structure, I panic and then like jump on a plane to go somewhere, because then I'm like, I need something, I need variety. And so it depends on the day of the week. Mondays are my me day where I do my studying, I have my appointments, and it's a very loosely structured day. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, how my days start. Either way, during the week, my days start pretty similar. I've got a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. And so I get them off to school and then I have my me time. So what's really important to me is starting my day with 8 ounces of water. And then when I drop the kids off from school, I spend time journaling, I spend time meditating, and then I spend time learning something. It could be something for my career, it could be something for me. It's either reading. Most of the time, I'm a physical book person. Belle was one of my favorite princesses. So I love libraries and books. So I'll read. If I don't have enough time, I will, in the morning, though, I will listen to Audible. I'll listen to any of my mentors that have classes that I ready. And then I start my day. Oh, also, even though I hate it, I work out in the morning. I'm more of an afternoon worker outer, but I don't have time in the afternoon. So I work out in the morning.
That's fantastic.
And yeah.
Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. And then I see clients. It's anywhere from seeing clients to I work with clients one-on-one, or I have a lot of different speaking engagements that I do. I'm also writing a book. So the meat of my day varies depending on how many clients I have, how many speaking engagements and charity things that I'm doing.
Again, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have all these great questions and
Yeah.
fantastic flowery words and adjectives, and I'm just like, wow. So That's going to bring me to ask this question. So it was a great lead in that you just shared. Whenever we see our fellow women peers, and I say that because I think we're all, collaborators in life here. That's how we power and grow together at whatever level of success any individual is at. But taking a look at the optics that now we are afforded with everything, social media and access to each other, we look at maybe another strong female or a female and just say, wow, those achievements, how does she do it? What is her secret? And we all have the same amount of hours in the day. So you just shared everything you're doing, what your day looks like. What's your secret? How do you do it?
So I am very particular about time. When I like to tell the people that work with me, or if they've come to my conference, I'm like, busy is the ultimate B word. I hate that word. And people are like, I'm too busy. So step one is I know what my priorities are. Step one, when I look at my schedule and my day, also, standardly, not a doctor, but I think they say the human body requires 8 hours of sleep. So if we require 8 hours of sleep, that means we have 16 waking hours to get things done. And so I am very particular about the structure of my week. I look at starting at 5 a.m. until 9 p.m. What do I need to get done during those hours? And I also am very hyper aware of where my energy lies. And so I know that I am slower in the mornings, but once 10 o'clock hits, 10 a.m., I'm ready to go. And I am highly functional from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. But I am not an early morning person. So I schedule a lot of my big things that need to get done after 10 a.m. And I look at, like I know we all have our tech calendars and things like that. And I have a Google calendar because that's how my clients schedule with me. But I also have a paper calendar where I can see the full week, and it's color coded with different highlighters for different things. And I am just hyper aware of where my time needs to go. And that makes it a lot easier to get it all done. Now, that being said, I still have weeks where I mess up. I still have weeks where sometimes I forgot that I scheduled somebody and it didn't get put on my calendar and things like that. But I think just being hyper aware of, we have 16 hours in a day and the priorities that need to get done in that day, and also still leaving time for working when my energy is the highest and saving time for, the hot topic is self-care. And self-love and all of that, but really truly putting time in my schedule that's fun, because that allows me to work harder for that fun time.
Those motivators.
Yeah, like I leave for Cancun in 3 days, and so I for the last couple of weeks I've been hyper aware at getting stuff done because I'm like, I'm leaving.
Just got the pedal to the metal, if you will.
Yep.
That carrot's
Absolutely.
dangling. Yeah, the palm tree. One of the two.
Yep. The beach is calling.
That's right. It's very cool, but interesting to hear you know yourself and your energy time. So when you are ready, when you're hyper ready to be engaged in that. And that self-awareness, again, going back to what you mentioned earlier, is pretty powerful. So is that something that you always knew about yourself, or how did you figure that out along your journey?
Oh gosh, no, that's not something that was definitely something that I had to learn. Being hyper aware of, first of all, myself, and asking the hard questions. And it is a luxury, I will say, that is afforded to those that don't work corporate, because then your schedule is not dictated by somebody else. But in the same sense, working a corporate life really showed me that I am not that. There are people who love that structure, and I am not that person. So that was step one. I don't want somebody to dictate when I can go on vacation or not. But knowing your own energy is as simple as just being aware of your day and the times of the day that you're grouchiest, or when you don't necessarily want to answer emails or talk to people. It's literally what I do is hyper self-awareness. Sometimes when you get hyper self-aware, you start noticing other people first, and then you notice yourself second. It was just one day when I decided, I'm like, that I can't keep being unhappy. I can't keep living like this. And so I started to ask myself, it was a simple question, what makes me happy? And once I asked myself, okay, what makes me happy? People start thinking, hyper level, like coffee. They start thinking, me, I'm a blanket person. I really love soft blankets. You start thinking about what makes you happy and then think about in your day, well, what makes you happy? We are taught as kids that work shouldn't make you happy. Like it doesn't matter. Like you have to work to work. And I don't believe that. I think if you are happy when you work, you're more successful. And so you can start your list at what makes you happy at all of the things that you see in front of you and then get down to, do I like to stay up late or do I like to wake up early in the morning, which I fully believe is a primal thing. We wouldn't have survived as a species if everybody went to bed at the same time and woke up at the same time. Somebody had to have a night watch and somebody had to work in the morning. But really asking yourself, what makes you happy? And that's where I started. What makes me happy? And then realizing that, yes, I am happier at a certain time of the day. I am more functioning at a certain time of the day. I love Miracle Morning. I just do it a little bit later than everybody else in that book does. Like,
Oh, I love that because again, that's more self-awareness. You like the message, but yet you knew you needed to modify the message to fit you.
to
So
me,
that's
yeah.
fantastic.
Well, and with that too is learning more about yourself. And that's, one of the things we've all taken personality assessments. I think everybody in the world has taken Myers-Briggs because they made us take it as high schoolers. And even though then it was like, hey, you're going to be like a salon person or you're going to do this or you're going to do that. Well, in actuality, all of these personality exams that we take show you like your true self and your core. And like the more you get to know you, like deep dive down into you, the more you can structure your day to be more successful.
Amen to that.
Mhm.
And I think we all appreciate a little bit of that because we feel better about ourselves just having that little win. Talking about that, and I know the audience can feel it like I can, just your enthusiasm and energy. So I know clearly we're after the 10 a.m. window here.
Yep. You know it.
Yep. So when we meet people with this magnitude of greatness to share with everybody else, I would like to always ask those folks, where do you turn to for support, motivation, or encouragement? Like, how do you find that
Oh,
for yourself if you're giving it to all of us?
yeah, that's a good question. Because if you're giving yourself out, you definitely have to fill your cup back up. And so I have awesome support teams. What's really cool is that I'm married to someone, my husband, James, is hyper focused on personal development. And so he is a great sounding board for me and all things. We oftentimes like buy books on Amazon together because we're like, hey, I'm reading this book. You should read this book too. But with that too, I call them my life team. I have a mentor who's been a mentor of mine in multiple areas of life. And she's been a director of mine in the past and she's a good friend of mine and she's my sounding board. And then I also have what I call my vent team and not event team, my vent team of people who I know that when things are hard and when you have something happen and you're like, I just need to spew out all of this steam. As long as I can get it out of my body, I'm fine. And that's my vent team. They're people that I know that I can call and be like, this is happening. Da, 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 da. And all they say is, do you feel better? And I'll go, yeah. They're like, great. Those people that when you have a problem you don't want necessarily solved right away, but you just need to get it out. That's my vent team. And then I have mentors too that I learn and grow from that are all over the country that are vast, like steps ahead of me that I have the opportunity to learn from. One of them, her name is Kisma, and she's out of San Diego, and she has a program called the Prosperity Code Method. And she is all things that is light and goodness in the world. And so I go to her when I need a boost. And so I surround myself with people who I know I can go to for different aspects, whether it's learning, growth, venting, sounding boards. They're my life team people.
So many critical components in all of those
Mhm.
for that, safe and safe feeling and sound mind
Yeah.
to have those teams in place. So that's pretty phenomenal right there. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I think it's important. We all need people. We've gone through a lot of things over the last few years that have shown us how crucial community is. And we all need somebody, and we cannot expect our partners to be that somebody. Like, we can't expect our partners to be all of our life people, and we can't expect just one person to be everybody. And so having a bunch of people, I think, helps.
That is fantastic.
Mhm.
Agree with you on that. I just haven't heard anybody really articulate it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, nobody really talks about it, but it's
Right.
important,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
You see it in a corporate structure, and that's all it is it's the corporate structure broken down into the life.
That's
You know,
fantastic.
CEOs don't make it without the directors, without the managers, without XYZ. We are the same thing. Like, be the CEO of your life. Who do you need to be your support team underneath you?
Love that. Love that. So, talking too about that with your teams in place, and you mentioned a book earlier and all these other dynamic things going on in your life. Could you share with the audience maybe what positive adjustments do you have to make in your life or environment, or have you made to help support your growth, goals, or dreams?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay. So, positive, I've done so many different things. I am a firm believer of that people will come to you for a reason or a season. So, I'll start with people for a second. And one of the things that's also not talked about is that some people can be a part of your life, like I said, for a reason or a season or forever. And so, I am very cognitive of the people around me and how they affect my energy, and that's a really hard thing to do when you realize that, maybe your best friend of forever is super negative, and that's why you aren't being successful or you're not making it. And so I am very aware of the people around me. And that doesn't mean, like, cut people off all of the time. It's just being aware of who you allow to be in your space at certain times. I am a big believer of feng shui, which I wasn't a year ago, but now I am. And one of my mentors, Dorina Kors, out of North Carolina, is a master feng shui person. And so she actually helped me with setting up my office for success and setting up my home for success so that I am in a space that flows and has happy things in it. I am also a big believer in comforting words and songs. And so I am one of those people. I will be that person till I die where I have quotes all over my house of encouraging words and templates because they make me feel happy. And as I read them, I remember them. And some of them are affirmations, some of them are manifestations that I want to have. One of the big things too is I watch what I listen to. So, like, what music plays around me in my office, in my home, in my car, based off of the mood that I'm having or where I want to go, the books that I'm reading, everything in my environment. I have been not meticulous about, but I am more concerned about than the average person, because I know what we see every day matters, what we hear every day matters, what we feel every day matters. And so I try to be hyper aware of that. Also, the Marie Kondo decluttering is a very real thing. Don't have clutter around. Like, I don't have clutter around. And actually, as I say that, I just ran a conference a couple weeks ago and I still have the bag sitting there. I'm like, oh, I should probably take care of that. That's got to be cluttering up something in my area. But just being hyper aware of what you see every day is a good place to start. And that is very important to me.
That's amazing. And yes, whatever we input or allow in,
Hmm.
be mindful of that because, the old adage, garbage in, garbage out, or you become what you think about. So everything you shared is phenomenal. Words of wisdom is what I would say.
Oh, thank you.
I am watching the clock, and so we're going to be very respectful, of course, of your schedule.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of quick questions I always want to make sure we can try to get in. One of them is, was there ever a specific point in time, key situation or event? And you may have talked about it already, but I'll throw this your way anyways. In your professional life that forced you to take a monumental shift within your business or career? What was the result of that, whether it was positive or painful? How did you grow?
I mean, there's been so many. But one of them, honestly, was when I became a working mom. I worked corporate for, gosh, 8 years plus before I became a mom. And not to sound stereotypical, but that was a huge learning curve for me on what I was willing to accept and what I was not willing to accept from a work environment. And the birth of my daughter was a game changer for me because I realized that, I was addicted to my phone and I was addicted to my email and making everybody else happy. And I didn't, because I had worked that way for so long, that's what they expected of me. So that when I started working like everybody else worked, I was viewed differently. And I mean, it was in that moment that I really had to work through what work-life balance meant to me, what being happy meant to me, what kind of parent I wanted to be. If I wanted to be that parent who was mad when she got sick because work was mad at me, or if I wanted to be the parent that was nurturing or not. That my last big corporate job is the place where I realized, am I happy? And do I want to live like this forever? Is the money worth it? Which once I realized I could be happy on my own and once I'm actually truly happy, I could make a lot more money. That was a game changer for me.
That's interesting. And it's going back to one of your words is realigning. So you realign for
Mhm.
yourself those expectations.
Mhm.
Wow. All right, my
Yeah.
lady. Yikes. This is so much good stuff. I'm taking notes. All right. So earlier you talked about being a physical book lover. So I raised my hand to that as
Mhm.
well, or the different resources. So we all crave great resources and you've shared some, but to help inspire, uplift, and expand our minds or encourage us. Do you have a favorite book or resource, mentor, influencer that you'd like to share with us, and what makes it a favorite?
Okay. Oh gosh, this is a loaded question because I could go on and on forever. I am a huge lover of Brene Brown and all of her works. She studies shame, and she's out of Houston. Most people, I think, have heard of Brene Brown, but if you have not, get every single one of her books. And one of her books that just came out recently is Atlas of the Heart, and it's 87 emotions and experiences that humans go through. She just revolutionized the way that we talk about shame and our emotions and our experiences that we have as humans. So I love her. I love Kisma, and I never know how to pronounce her last name. It's or Borovich, and she studies prosperity and light and just the true art of manifesting and meditation, and really that we are all prosperous beings as long as we get out of our own way. One of the most influential people that got me into that I would watch on YouTube every day while I was working corporate was Les Brown. Still to this day, I watch him. He is what made me want to be a motivational speaker. He is what made me want to change, and he's what made me want to help other people change too. So he's a good one.
Well, fantastic. We will make
Mhm.
sure and include these links in the resource section. So it's great and easy for our audience to access. So thank you for
Yeah.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Tamika, it has been, I don't want to cut it off, but it has been because, there's certain questions I was like, ooh, ask her this, but we'll have to maybe do a follow up. But
Do a
it
part two.
yeah, exactly. It has been such a pleasure visiting with you today. And as we wrap up and keeping the promise to share intentional inspiration with our audience, do you have one piece of key go to advice that you'd like to share with us?
At the age of 9, the world tells little girls who they should be. Dive deep to figure out who you want to be. And when you show up as her, you show up as your most powerful self. Whoever it is that you want to be, those things you want to do, those whispers that you keep having on who you want to be, how you want to act, what you want to do, follow her because she is your most powerful self.
Okay, how do I not say wow on that one? Oh my goodness. I've never heard that before. And I was visualizing as you were sharing that. My 9-year-old.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, at
Love
age
that.
9, they start telling
Okay.
little girls who they should be, and
Mhm.
oftentimes it's who they should be to other people.
Yeah. All right. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
The stage is even more so yours, my lady, because we want you to share where our audience can go to connect with you on your socials or any contact information to support you in your continued success. So share.
Awesome. So you can follow me. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram as the Tamika Taylor. It's Tamika Taylor. Also, my company is the Evolution Collective, and our website is evolutioncollective.co. And you can find all of my contact information there.
Perfect. And again, we'll make sure and highlight those links so it's easy for our audience to connect with you.
Awesome.
All right, my lady, it has been a sheer pleasure and joy connecting with you and having you share a little bit of your Silhouette of Success journey with us. You are a true inspiration and motivation to all of us. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Silhouettes of Success podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out and join us for all the new episodes. We are here for you and with you. We encourage you to share this podcast on all your socials and pass on the light to help illuminate another Silhouette of Success. Amber would love to hear from you, and you can find her on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or head over to amberweitzer.com. Let's connect. Help us all shine and leave us a review too. To find out the latest ways to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, and gain actionable insights, subscribe at amberweitzer.com. We are honored, humbled, and full of joy that you've tuned in. Remember, you are exactly where you need to be, right here with us. This is the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success.